Hey everyone! If you enjoyed this video, the full version is available on Patreon. I'll be uploading all my content there going forward.
Chapter 1. Lin Mo, how dare you? A mere commoner like you dares to trespass into the Elders' Council. Aren't you afraid of the dragon-devouring torture? Guards! With a loud shout, 4 velociraptor riders charged forward like lightning, surrounding the slender boy. The rider raised his lance and pointed it directly at his head. The velociraptor's foul breath sent chills down one's spine. But Lin Mo did not retreat even a step. Looking at the man who had reprimanded him, he took a deep breath, suppressing his inner fear, and said in as calm a tone as possible. Elder, this epidemic has struck with ferocity, yet the Elder Council has only supplied the antidote to the upper classes. We commoners are utterly powerless to resist it. My master has been infected for many days, and his condition has worsened. I beg the Elder to have mercy and grant me the antidote to save lives. Shut up, you're spouting nonsense. The Elder sternly rebuked. The Elder Council has already investigated this epidemic thoroughly and found it's not nearly as serious as it seems. With proper precautions, infection is virtually impossible. And even if you do get infected, most young and healthy people can recover on their own. Besides, do you think you can just drink the antidote whenever you want? Do you know how expensive a bottle of antidote is? Lin Mo had heard that the tribe's reserves of the antidote were insufficient, and even among the upper class people, only 1 bottle could be shared among 3 people. However, their indifference towards the common people is still infuriating. Lin Mo simply couldn't manage so many people, nor did he want to. He only wanted to protect his master as much as possible. After all, his master had shown him immense kindness. If his master hadn't taken him in, he would have been devoured by a velociraptor in the wild 2 months ago, leaving no trace of his remains. Lin Mo did not back down, but instead argued his case logically. Elder, my master is, after all, the patrol captain of the lower city. He has made many contributions to the tribe. Even if he hasn't achieved great things, he has certainly worked hard, right? I don't ask for anything else, I just ask the Elder to grant me a bottle of the antidote, that's all. Even half a bottle would be fine. The Elder frowned. Although the antidote is in short supply, there is still some in stock. But those were reserved specifically for the use of nobles. Even if there were extras, they could not be given to a commoner. Once this precedent is set, other sick commoners will surely flock to it. That would be outrageous. He dared not set that precedent. Besides, it's all for a lowly commoner. The Elder glanced at Lin Mo with disdain and sneered. So what? Your master is, in the end, just a lowly commoner with a level cap of 13. Level 13, can't even open a supply crate, yet he dares to dream of getting the antidote? What a joke! Let me tell you the truth, there are plenty of patrol captains out there, he's not irreplaceable. Random supply crates often fall from the sky in this world. Although their origin is unknown, they usually contain a lot of important supplies. The minimum level required to open a supply crate is 15. Due to physical limitations, most people's level cap is limited to a certain level and they cannot advance further. Whether one's rank is below 15 has become an important indicator for judging the status of a lowly person. Even knowing all this, the Elder's words still chilled Lin Mo to the bone. He had been in this world for some time and had witnessed its cruelty, but he was still deeply shocked today. Anger and resentment surged within me. These cold-blooded scumbags, if I had power, why would I need to be so subservient? Why didn't I have any cheat codes after I transmigrated here? Lin Mo couldn't help but sigh. He was quite excited when he first arrived. This world is highly similar to the game he played in his previous life, Ark, Survival Evolved. With one's understanding of the game, surviving on this land overrun by dinosaurs and monsters, evolving oneself, and becoming the master of all things is not impossible. Lin Mo did indeed think so when he first arrived. But he soon realized something was wrong. He didn't receive any cheat codes at all. Even more outrageous is, as a crucial way to improve his strength, he simply couldn't access the character panel. In other words, he can't add points to his attributes, so evolution is out of the question. And it's not just him, everyone in this world is unable to evolve. The key to evolution was originally the ARC system chip on each person's left wrist. That's a diamond-shaped device embedded in the body. You can use it to open your interface and perform operations such as allocating attribute points. But he soon discovered that, aside from serving as an identification card to check a creature's level, it had no other use whatsoever. Everyone was like this, even he, as a time traveler, was no exception. Although Lin Mo was disappointed, he was fortunate that his master's family treated him very well, which made him feel a long-lost warmth. He had planned to live an ordinary life, but a sudden epidemic disrupted everything. Faced with the epidemic, the common people had no right to use the precious antidote. Although he knew the serious consequences of rashly going to the Elders' Council to ask for medicine, he still came without hesitation when he saw his master's haggard and pained face. By this time, a large crowd had gathered outside the Elders' Council. Even those who wanted to watch the spectacle could only stand more than 10 meters away, not daring to approach the esteemed elders at will. The upper class naturally responded with sarcasm and ridicule. Humph! A mere commoner dares to ask for the antidote. This is utter ignorance. Does he even know how much a bottle of antidote costs? It's much more worthwhile to trade it for a sub-dragon than to use it to save a lowly commoner. This kid needs to be taught a lesson this time, otherwise, if all those lowly people follow suit, what will become of us? That's right, the Elders' Council should execute him, Dragon Devourer. The common people watching from afar also shook their heads, but their expressions were more resentment than sympathy. If this kid angers the elders, it's not a big deal if he dies, but if the elders take their anger out on the common people, we'll be in deep trouble. Yet, Lin Mo is so selfish, he doesn't consider anyone else at all. Does he think he's the only one with a sick family member? Humph! The Elders' Council has long stated that as long as proper precautions are taken, infection is impossible. His master was careless, who can he blame? Humph! If he acts so recklessly and the elders take their anger out on the common people, everyone will have to clean up his mess in the end. Damn it! Hearing these voices, Lin Mo froze. He knew that in this situation, no one would speak up for him. In fact, everyone would rather he died than drag others down with him. For a moment, he felt only grief, indignation, and helplessness. He did nothing wrong, it's just that what he did wasn't accepted by this indifferent world. Looking into the elder's cold eyes, Lin Mo knew that his fate would undoubtedly be tragic. The elder also felt there was no need to continue entangled with this lowly boy. Lin Mo, you have trespassed into the Elders' Council and caused trouble unjustly. Your crimes are unforgivable. I hereby announce your punishment, Dragon Devour. Execute immediately. As soon as he finished speaking, the people cheered. They loved this kind of bloody and exciting scene. Even the common people joined in the applause. In their view, as long as this troublesome kid dies tragically on the spot, the elders' anger will subside, and they will not be implicated. Upon hearing this, Lin Mo's heart skipped a beat, his worst fears had come true. Just when he was in despair, a character interface suddenly popped up in front of him. Almost instantly, he understood. This is my properties panel. Chapter 2. He blinked hard, confirming again. That's right, it's my attribute panel. It is clearly displayed above. Character, Lin Mo. Level, 11. Affiliation, Riverbank Tribe. Available attribute points, 10. Wow, I can still open the upgrade interface after all. This means that he will be the only human in the world who can add points to himself, and even evolve. But why did this golden touch take a full 2 months to appear? Lin Mo didn't have time to think it through, all he needed to do now was add points immediately. He needs to improve his strength quickly, or he will surely die. The so-called Dragon's Devour is to make the prisoner fight a ferocious velociraptor barehanded. Only one person can survive within 3 minutes. If you win, you'll be spared death. But everyone knows that's almost impossible. Even the strongest warrior in their tribe would dream of killing a velociraptor with his bare hands. Of course, there is one way to escape this fate, to survive for 3 minutes, but that's impossible. To date, all of the tribe's dragon-devouring executions have been completed within 30 seconds. Unarmed humans facing velociraptors are like meat on a chopping board, utterly powerless to fight back. Therefore, this dragon-devouring punishment is tantamount to a death sentence for him. The only way to give him a chance to survive is to add more points. But when he turned his gaze to his own attributes, he was suddenly shocked. Holy crap, how come, there's only one attribute that can be allocated points? Lin Mo frowned. The panel only showed one attribute with a stat allocation button next to it. Melee damage, 100%. This attribute represents his melee lethality, including the power of using all melee weapons, and even hand-to-hand combat. All other attributes, such as health, stamina, and speed, are locked. He originally planned to put all his attribute points into speed or health, forcibly stalling for 3 minutes to save his life. But now it seems that we have no choice but to bite the bullet and increase melee damage. But Lin Mo knew that if he fought barehanded, his damage bonus wouldn't be much higher. 100% means that he can unleash the weapon's basic power at 100% when using any weapon. For every 1% increase in this attribute, melee power increases by 1%. But if it's just hand-to-hand combat, how strong can his fists be? Could he possibly defeat a velociraptor with its sharp teeth and claws? Isn't this still a dead end? At this moment, a grass-green velociraptor had been brought before him, awaiting the elder's order to execute it. This is a level 12 velociraptor, already tamed, but its strength is mediocre and its stamina is not very good, so it can only be used for execution. His master stood by, and whenever the elder gave the order, he would whistle to command the velociraptors to attack Lin Mo. Looking at the ferocious beast, Lin Mo knew he couldn't hesitate any longer. Damn it, there's no other way. I have to put all 10 points into this and take a gamble. A single heart beneath a forest road. Ding, skill points added. All attribute points allocated to melee damage. Current attribute. Melee damage, 1100%. WH Watt. Lin Mo was so shocked when he saw the number that he almost jumped up. 1100%. In other words, he added a full 1000% to his 10 attribute points. His melee combat ability has now increased tenfold. Lin Mo was so shocked that his mouth dropped open. He never imagined that each point he added would bring such an amazing improvement. Seeing his sudden change in expression and his utterly disoriented state, the onlookers assumed he had been terrified by the velociraptor and couldn't help but mock him. Oh, so you're scared now? Ha, too late to be scared. Do you think these lowly commoners can turn the world upside down? They deserve to be eaten by dinosaurs, only then will they realize their true worth. I bet a pearl that this kid won't last 10 seconds. What's so special about this bet? Everyone knows he won't make it. I bet his right hand will be bitten off first. Then you've lost. Velociraptors usually just bite through their throats. That's not necessarily true. Shall we bet? Go ahead and bet, who's afraid of you? The common people who were watching the spectacle also began to complain. Lin Mo dared to offend the elder, he deserves to die, but I'm afraid the elder will hold a grudge against us. The elder is making an example of us, to intimidate us commoners. I said, when the dragon's devouring begins, everyone should cheer wildly. Yes, the more gruesome the kid's death, the happier we'll be. The elders will think we're more law-abiding and not like him. Okay, let's do it that way. These commoners were already selfish and selfing, and now they were even more eager for Lin Mo to die a miserable death. Everyone was eagerly awaiting the start of the dragon devouring. Little did they know, Lin Mo was no longer afraid, his strongest emotion was excitement. Excellent! It seems I'm not only the only one who can open the attribute panel to upgrade and allocate attribute points, but I can also wildly increase my attribute values. He clearly remembered that, according to the original game settings, one attribute point could only increase melee damage by 5%. And now, with just 1 point, he's increased by 100%. 10 o'clock is 1000%. That's equivalent to a 20-fold increase compared to normal. That's amazing. Now, Lin Mo, using any melee weapon, can deliver a single blow with the force of an artillery shell. Only, he wasn't entirely sure if he could defeat a velociraptor with his bare hands. According to the combat settings of this world, in hand-to-hand combat, every punch you land will also cause you some damage. After all, dinosaurs have tough, rough skin, so it's understandable that they would suffer damage from it. This is one of the reasons why no one has ever survived the dragon's devour before. Even if you are a warrior with amazing punching power, the more force you use to attack a velociraptor, the greater the backlash you will suffer. The more punches you throw, the faster you will perish. Lin Mo's only worry was, what if the power of the counter-attack also increased by 20 times? Who knows, if I throw a punch, the velociraptor might not die, but I'd be instantly killed by the reflected damage. That would be utterly ridiculous. Now that things have come to this, we can only take it one step at a time. The scene was already surrounded by dragon knights, leaving enough space in the middle for the man and the dragon to fight. If Lin Mo dares to run away, the dragon knight will attack him without hesitation. In the distance, on a tall tree, a pair of eyes peered through the dense branches, closely observing everything that was happening. The person was small and thin, but was completely covered by a ghillie suit, obscuring their features. Only their exposed eyes were exceptionally sharp. Humph, one life, nothing more than a game of entertainment. This riverside tribe seems to be a disorganized mess, selfish and selfing, utterly unworthy of being our allies. I don't recommend the captain join forces with them. The cheers from the crowd below further convinced him of this. He used the scope of his single-barreled shotgun to carefully scan everyone present, slowly shaking his head until his gaze finally settled on Lin Mo's face. To his surprise, the boy's expression was so calm in the face of the impending horrific massacre. There was even a hint of anticipation. The man thought either he was seeing things, or the other person was simply terrified. Chapter 3. Everything was ready, and the elder gave the order. Dragon devouring begins, 3-minute countdown. That being said, nobody really cares about the time. This kid can't possibly survive more than 20 seconds. Even 10 seconds would be difficult. The tamer untied the rope from the velociraptor's neck, whistled, and pointed at Lin Mo. The latter knew that this was an attack command, and the target was himself. Upon receiving its master's command, the velociraptor immediately turned its ferocious head, its sinister eyes fixed intently on him. This dinosaur was very cunning. After sizing up Lin Mo, it saw that he was thin and weak, and that he was definitely not very strong. In its eyes, this was just a delicious meal that could be easily obtained and enjoyed at any time. The onlookers began shouting and yelling, extremely excited. Even the elders watched the impending massacre with expectant eyes. Logically speaking, Lin Mo's crime did not warrant death, but as someone in a position of power, he enjoyed the thrill of deciding people's lives and deaths. To put it bluntly, it's about taking human lives for amusement. He even hoped to see a pitiful pleading look in the boy's eyes, but he never did. Lin Mo was completely focused and couldn't hear the noise around him at all. Despite receiving a significant boost to his attributes, he maintained a calm and collected mind. He was very clear. Even if he possessed the strength to kill this low-level velociraptor with a single punch, his speed and reaction time were no match for it. We must seize this opportunity, it may very well be the only one. If he misses and fails to kill in one strike, the velociraptor's terrifying counterattack could very well kill him instantly. He glanced at the scythe-like claws, his throat bobbed slightly, and he clenched his fists, clearly feeling the immense power contained within his arms. All the muscles in his body were highly tense, like a fully drawn bow. Keep a close eye on its lower limbs. Velociraptor's most effective attack is the pounce. As soon as it bends its knees, I must dodge and then look for an opportunity to counterattack. He knew he couldn't possibly react as fast as the monster. If he only started to dodge when the monster pounced, he would surely die. Therefore, he can only anticipate the situation and dodge as soon as the opponent prepares to jump. That's the only chance of survival. This was also the experience his master had given him. Sure enough, the velociraptor bent its legs, leaped high, and pounced on him, reaching a height of 2 meters. Speed, power, the impact of the body, and the cutting power of the claws. Anyone without armor is doomed. But Lin Mo had anticipated this, and just a moment before the velociraptor leaped, he dodged to the side. Thump! The velociraptor landed but missed, but it quickly adjusted its position, nimbly turning itself to face Lin Mo again with a small leap. Lin Mo originally wanted to attack it after it landed, but he didn't expect it to be so agile, so he had to give up and quickly retreated several meters to the edge of the arena. The man and the dragon are locked in a stalemate once again. Lin Mo was secretly amazed. Velociraptors truly live up to their reputation as killers of the forest. Their reflexes, leaping ability, and hunting instincts make them nothing short of perfect killing machines. I need to be more careful. The velociraptor was also somewhat surprised, clearly not expecting that this thin human boy could actually avoid the deadly pounce. When the velociraptor pounced, everyone gasped, not out of concern for Lin Mo, but because they were looking forward to seeing him beheaded and covered in blood. But who could have imagined that Lin Mo would dodge it unscathed? No way! This kid's reflexes are that fast? He actually dodged the flying pounce. It seems he's the first person in all the years of dragon attacks to dodge a velociraptor's pounce, right? What's the big deal? Anyone who's watched a few Dragon Eater fights knows that a velociraptor's first move is a flying pounce. Anyone would know to defend against that. That being said, there was still an element of luck involved in dodging that attack. Someone else shouted. The tamer has given the order, let the velociraptors attack relentlessly. Don't let them hide anymore. Ha, you're worried about losing money if you can't kill him within 20 seconds, right? Screw you. Hearing the shouts, the dragon trainer became a little anxious. The faster a velociraptor kills its prey, the more skilled the tamer is and the better it has been trained. In the past, no one could dodge the dragon's pounce. Even if they didn't die, they were already seriously injured, and being bitten to death would only take a few more seconds. But now, this seemingly frail boy has dodged it unscathed. It made him feel utterly humiliated. I quickly blew my whistle, signaling the velociraptors to attack again. Upon receiving its master's command, the velociraptor took a deep breath, roared, and charged straight at Lin Mo with lightning speed. When facing small to medium-sized prey like humans, it can completely overpower them with its size, weight, and frontal assault. As long as its claws pierce its target, it can easily bite off the other's neck. Seeing the velociraptor charging towards him, Lin Mo felt a chill run down his spine. He knew the terrifying force behind him, but there was no way to retreat. The rider's lance was less than half a meter from his back. If he crossed the line, the other would thrust at him without hesitation. They won't kill him, just injure him and throw him back to continue fighting for their amusement. His fate was like that of a puppet, it wouldn't stop until it was completely ruined. But Lin Mo had no intention of accepting his fate. The velociraptor charged forward like a whirlwind. Lin Mo suddenly roared at it, the sound so loud that even he himself was a little dizzy. The velociraptor's momentum slowed, clearly not understanding why the man was yelling. Before it could react, Lin Mo swiftly kicked it. It hit the opponent squarely in the jaw. Crack! Several snow-white teeth, trailing streaks of blood, flew up. The velociraptor fell heavily to the ground, struggled to its feet, and let out a mournful roar. Its lower jaw was broken and couldn't close, bleeding profusely as it glared angrily at Lin Mo. Lin Mo's melee damage has increased tenfold. That kick snapped its sturdy jawbone. But his right leg also went numb. When he kicked, the angle was wrong, and his method of applying force was also incorrect. He didn't truly unleash his full power. Otherwise, that kick would have been enough to smash the velociraptor's head. It's also because he lacks practical experience, there's nothing he can do about it. Upon seeing this, the scene fell completely silent. With a single kick, he actually shattered the jaw of a ferocious velociraptor. Who would believe it if you told them? Everyone knows that even with a high-quality iron spear, an ordinary person cannot break the sturdy dragon bone with a single powerful blow. What's more, they're actually worn directly on the feet. The group exchanged bewildered glances, finding it utterly bizarre. The elder's expression changed, he hadn't expected this. But at this moment, he preferred to believe that the kid was just lucky, and maybe he just happened to kick a weak point in the bone. No one could have guessed that this unassuming young man possessed superhuman hand-to-hand combat skills. Chapter 4. Although he missed a golden opportunity to kill the velociraptor, Lin Mo now felt his chances had greatly improved as the velociraptor was severely injured. But he soon realized how naive this idea was. The immense pain enraged the velociraptor. It went berserk, rampaging wildly, its claws flailing frantically, determined to kill the boy as quickly as possible and vent its fury. Lin Mo dared not confront them head-on, and could only keep moving around and dodging. Fortunately, the monster was badly injured, which greatly slowed it down, making it much easier to avoid its attacks. Although the velociraptor was ferocious, it was still seriously injured. After several unsuccessful charges, it stopped to catch its breath and began to stroke its broken jaw. Seeing this, Lin Mo quietly circled around to the back and kicked it in the back again. Smack! The velociraptor roared, and what seemed like an ordinary kick actually nearly broke its spine. The force was so great that it tilted its entire body to one side. Onlookers believed that the velociraptor was too exhausted and could not stand steadily. But what they didn't realize was that if that kick had landed on them, their bones would have been shattered. Lin Mo didn't use his full strength in this kick, he didn't dare to exert too much force, always wary of the velociraptor's deadly counterattack. If you use too much force and lose control, getting too close, your opponent could grab you in the back, leaving you either dead or half dead. Anyway, the advantage is in my hands now, so there's no rush. Lin Mo has calmed down considerably. Now, he is more focused on gaining practical experience and figuring out how to exert force. After several more rounds, when 2 minutes had passed, the velociraptor was already swaying precariously, its eyes were no longer as sharp as before, and its movements were sluggish. Lin Mo knew it was time to end it. They began to look for an opportunity to close in, preparing for a full-force attack to send it to its doom. The onlookers remained silent. How could they have predicted such an outcome? They thought Lin Mo was just a piece of meat on a chopping board, easily torn to pieces. To everyone's surprise, he not only emerged unscathed, but also left the velociraptor half dead. Most people felt jealousy and suspicion. Some said he was lucky, others said the velociraptor was in poor condition, and some even suspected that the velociraptor and Lin Mo were in cahoots, putting on an act. But in the elder's eyes, there was more worry than anything else. This kid managed to wear down this velociraptor with his bare hands. If word gets out, it will be said that a lowly commoner can kill a velociraptor with his bare hands. Successfully survived the dragon's devouring, achieving a miracle that even the common people couldn't do. If those lowly people see him as their leader and unite, then life will be very difficult for us upper-class people. Thinking of this, he coughed lightly and gave the captain of the guards beside him a wink. The latter immediately understood, slowly took out an iron crossbow, nocked an arrow, and aimed at Lin Mo's right leg. If you can injure one of his legs, the velociraptor will have a chance to turn the tables. The elder found this rather ridiculous. He was actually resorting to underhanded tactics to help the stronger velociraptor, giving it a chance to win. This is absolutely ridiculous. Lin Qi walked to the side and rear of the velociraptor, which was its blind spot. Moreover, from this position, the opponent's claws and head cannot attack him effectively. If the velociraptor hadn't lost so much blood and was so exhausted, it wouldn't have been able to successfully invade this area. Lin Qi took a deep breath, slowly raised his right fist, and with all his might, roared as he slammed it towards the dragon's head. Bang! Smack! Two voices rang out almost simultaneously. The velociraptor's skull shattered, blood splattered, and it collapsed dead. The captain of the guards let out a scream, his crossbow fell to the ground, and a bloody hole appeared on his forehead. He collapsed limply. Everyone was stunned. I wonder which scene is more shocking. Gunshots. Enemy attack. The elder cried out in alarm, pointing to a large tree not far away. Over there, the gunshots are coming from over there. The Dragon Knights ignored Lin Mo and immediately split into two groups, one to protect the elder, and the other to quickly approach the tree. Just then, a whistle came from the dense branches, followed by a long, drawn-out cry from overhead. A huge shadow rapidly approached from afar, then began to hover above the treetops. Lin Mo saw that the bird was enormous, like an enlarged version of a golden eagle, and extremely ferocious. Ah, the Argentine eagle! Good heavens, how did this thing get here? Why weren't the watchtowers detected? Those who recognized them screamed and scattered in panic, fleeing in all directions. The elder's expression changed drastically. As he fled into the house, he cried out in a trembling voice. A giant eagle is attacking. Quickly gather the archers. Upon seeing the monster appear, no one even paid attention to Lin Mo's headshot of the velociraptor. The Argent Avis of Argentina is an extremely ferocious creature. It is the absolute nemesis of all small and medium-sized creatures on the ground. Its powerful claws can easily grab an adult and lift them high into the air, then drop them, smashing them to pieces. The velociraptor riders who had been charging aggressively toward the tree immediately turned back. The velociraptors on their mounts took off in a flash, for the Argentinian giant eagle was truly their nemesis. When faced with this thing, the velociraptor has absolutely no chance of fighting back. If you get caught, it's certain death. Before everyone's eyes, a strange man covered in green leaves, holding a hunting rifle, leaped high from a tree. The man held a hooked chain attached to the giant eagle's leg. The giant eagle flapped its wings, making a tremendous sound as it battered the air, and carried the man into the sky. As it flew over Lin Mo's head, the man shouted in a rough voice. Lin Mo, right? You've got some skills, kid. Someone ambushed you just now, and I took care of them for you. Don't die, though, you'll definitely have your day to shine in the future. The sound faded into the distance, and the person soon flew into the clouds with the giant eagle and disappeared without a trace. By the time the dozen or so archers had assembled, there wasn't a single bird feather to be seen in the sky. Lin Qian recalled what he had seen before and immediately understood that the captain wanted to ambush him and kill him in the fight. But this mysterious gunman secretly helped him. Although I don't know this person's background or purpose, I am still grateful. Thinking about it, the fact that this rider could tame a giant eagle shows that he is incredibly strong. It's important to know that giant eagles are not so easy to tame. They not only roam the dangerous high mountains, but are also exceptionally fierce. The man was carrying a single-barreled shotgun, which indicates that his tribe's technological level was far superior to that of the riverside tribes. The latter is currently only at the initial stage of iron technology. It can build iron armor, iron spears, iron crossbows, and iron tools, but it cannot manufacture single-barreled shotguns. In other words, they had no firearms, only cold weapons. If the other side harbors ulterior motives and launches a large-scale attack, this tribe will likely have no choice but to wait for its demise. Chapter 5. However, judging from the current situation, that person doesn't seem like a bad guy. On the contrary, he seems to have a strong sense of justice. Thinking back, it's a bit frightening. If I had actually been hit by that captain's arrow, the consequences would have been unimaginable. Just as he was still feeling lingering fear, he suddenly saw a notification appear on the character interface, which seemed to contain some information. Upon opening it, my eyes widened in surprise. Ding! Defeat a level 12 Velociraptor, gain experience points, current level increased to 12. Currently available attribute points, 1. I actually leveled up. In other words, his level cap is not locked, he can continue to level up. This means he can acquire even more attribute points, greatly enhancing his strength. Because of differences in physical constitution, everyone in this world has their own upper limit in terms of level. Once this limit is reached, there is no way to improve it further. This is the basis for distinguishing between the upper class, the lower class, and even the divine class. But he wasn't limited by this, he was able to surpass the limit and continue to improve. My heart was instantly filled with joy. Wait, it seems I only killed one Velociraptor and leveled up instantly. Does this mean that the experience points I gain from killing enemies have also been greatly increased? Lin Mo is now quite certain of this. Although the higher the level, the slower the leveling up. At level 11, it's impossible for him to level up directly by simply killing a level 12 Velociraptor. Therefore, there is only one explanation. He also received a significant experience boost. Wow, I always thought that being able to boost stats was my cheat code, but I never imagined I had so many hidden buffs. Moreover, he did not feel any obvious damage to his body when he punched the Velociraptor. In other words, the extent of damage he suffered was also significantly reduced. Perhaps I can do more than just improve my attributes. I've already received a significant boost to myself. I just hadn't realized it before. Lin Mo felt that his speculation was quite plausible. After all, he is a time traveler, so it's not unreasonable that he would have undergone a subtle but gradual enhancement. Attribute enhancements would be like adding wings to a tiger. After thinking about it, I realized. By the way, this world does have a certain game background setting, and in the game itself, you can adjust data such as experience bonuses. It seems I not only have a cheat code, but my starting point was already far ahead of others. With so many powerful buffs, if I still can't make a name for myself, it would be a huge waste. Lin Mo was full of confidence. This is like playing a game where everyone else is a native player, their skill ceiling is limited, and all other features to improve their abilities are blocked. He was like a player entering a game. Before even starting, he had adjusted various beneficial parameters for himself. You can also enjoy all the game's features. Suppressing his inner elation, he glanced at the captain's corpse on the ground, spat, and muttered under his breath, he deserved to die. Only after seeing the giant eagle fly away from the tribe did the group gradually leave their hiding place. Under the protection of crossbowmen, the elder cautiously walked out, looked around to make sure it was really safe, and then breathed a sigh of relief. He glanced at the captain's corpse and frowned. Then he turned his gaze to Lin Mo. Before the latter could speak, the elder preemptively declared. Lin Mo, it seems you know that gunman, don't you? He actually colluded with outsiders and even killed the guard captain. His crimes are utterly heinous. Guards, shoot this criminal dead with a hail of arrows. Lin Mo was filled with shock and anger. He knew that the other party was making false accusations first, but since the other party was determined to kill him, he did not want to sit idly by and wait for his death. He immediately began to think of a solution in his mind, while observing escape routes. The onlookers who had been watching earlier started shouting again. "See? I told you! This kid has no chance of defeating a velociraptor." From start to finish, someone was secretly helping him. Yet, I always found it strange. How could a mortal break a velociraptor's bones with their bare hands? Are you kidding me? Some people among the common people also shouted. "Lin Mo, you colluded with foreign tribes to harm my people, you deserve to die." We, the common people, unanimously support the elders' decision. "Kill him! Kill him!" Lin Mo glared angrily at these people, indifferent to the contempt of the upper class. But as commoners, these people not only lacked the ability to unite, but were also willing to be lackeys and pawns of others. To put it nicely, it's for self-preservation, but in reality, they're like spineless dogs, long since devoid of dignity. Lin Mo was utterly disappointed in them. Seeing everyone's unanimous support for his decision, the elder was extremely pleased and had long forgotten his earlier embarrassment. He then adopted the airs of someone in a superior position, pointing at him coldly and saying, "Did you hear that? This is the will of the people. The will of the people cannot be defied. Archers, prepare." Lin Mo bent his body slightly, ready to jump off the cliff to his right the moment the other party gave the order. There was a river below, and he was confident he wouldn't die. But injuries are inevitable. He secretly made a vow in his heart. "I'm so sorry, Master. Not only have I failed to help you, but I'm even in danger of losing my own life. But don't worry, as long as I have a breath left, I will definitely come back to save you. If you die, I will make sure these scumbags are with you." Lin Mo's biggest wish right now is to become stronger. So powerful that no one dares to mess with them. He was so powerful that people would tremble with fear just from hearing his name. The archers didn't all aim at him, some even aimed to his sides, essentially blocking all possible escape routes for him. Lin Mo made up his mind that he would jump even if it meant getting injured, otherwise he would die. "Ready, launch!" "Stop!" A reprimand instantly shattered the tense atmosphere. Lin Mo looked in the direction of the sound and saw a dinosaur over 3 meters tall slowly appearing at the foot of the mountain path. It was a monster with reddish-brown skin. Its face was contorted in a ferocious grimace, and a pair of red eyes stared menacingly ahead. There are also 2 outward curving bone horns on the top of its head. He immediately recognized it. It was a bull dragon. This dinosaur excelled at long-distance running and possessed considerable fighting prowess. It can headbutt enemies in battle, and its powerful impact can easily shatter bones. It also possesses a powerful bite force, capable of biting a grown person in 2 with a single bite. In actual combat, even 3 velociraptors might not be its match. The rider on the dragon's back was a burly man with a one-eyed dragon, his face cold and stern, wielding an iron spear. Being able to ride a bull dragon was a symbol of power. Behind him followed several velociraptor riders. Upon seeing this person appear, the crowd hurriedly made way, and the elder quickly stepped forward, bowing and saying, "Chieftain, you've arrived." That man was the chieftain of the Riverside tribe, who called himself Kuangtai. Kuangtai nodded and said, "They said a giant eagle was attacking, so I came up to check it out. Since it escaped, there's no need to be so nervous." As he spoke, he raised his hand to signal the archers to lower their weapons. Chapter 6. He didn't seem too concerned about the giant eagle rider, and instead looked at Lin Mo, saying in a kind tone, "Kid, did you really kill that velociraptor with a single punch?" They didn't even ask about the captain's death. Seeing that he didn't intend to make things difficult for her, Lin Mo, though still secretly wary, nodded in reply. "I killed it, but not with one punch, I kicked it several times beforehand. Luckily, all the kicks hit vital spots. He felt that it was best not to be too conspicuous in such a treacherous tribe. Especially considering he was just a lowly commoner, as evidenced by the elder's actions just now. The other party completely viewed him as a threat and wanted to get rid of him as soon as possible. The madman laughed heartily. Even so, your martial arts skills are quite impressive. Upon hearing this, Lin Mo's mind raced, and he immediately replied. Chief, you may not know this, but the reason I was able to kill the velociraptor was because all the techniques I used were taught to me by my master. Without his guidance, I would have died a violent death long ago. The purpose of saying this is to highlight the importance of the master and increase the chances of obtaining the antidote. Sure enough, upon hearing this, the madman couldn't help but nod in approval. Is that so? In that case, your master is indeed quite capable, not just an ordinary commoner. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to teach a disciple like you. Lin Mo was surprised to see that this dignified clan chief, the highest authority in the tribe, did not refer to him as a lowly commoner like those others. This alone made me like them more and lowered my guard considerably. He stayed in the tribe for 2 months but never met the chieftain. He only heard that the chieftain was very cunning and extremely treacherous. Therefore, I've never had a good impression of him. Thinking to myself. At this point, even rumors aren't necessarily true. You have to experience it for yourself to know the truth. The madman clan chief doesn't seem like a bad person, but even so, I'd better be cautious. Better safe than sorry. The facts were then clarified. After hearing his account of what had happened, the madman glared fiercely at the elder. Look at the foolish thing you've done. A talent capable of fighting a velociraptor barehanded, and you treat him like a criminal, insisting on putting him to death. Such a talent should be promoted and given important responsibilities. The latter, startled, quickly lowered his head and explained. But he trespassed into the elders' council, violating the law. Shut up. He's asking for medicine for his master, he's not being unreasonable. Such courage shouldn't be punished, it should be rewarded. Upon hearing the clan chief's words, the crowd erupted in excitement. Wow, the clan leader actually values this lad so much. Killing a velociraptor with his bare hands is indeed impressive, although I still believe he had the help of the gunman. But as the chieftain said, his courage is commendable. Yet, from the first moment I saw him, I knew this kid was something special. The common people immediately changed their tune, abandoning their previous ridicule and mockery of Lin Mo. But the common people felt as if a mixture of flavors had been spilled, with jealousy and resentment being the most prevalent. Damn it, this little BD has actually gained the clan leader's favor. He's on his way to a meteoric rise. God, this is so unfair. He's just a level 11 trash, while I'm a level 13, and I've never even received any recognition from those in power. Sigh. I'm a little worried. Do you think this kid will hold a grudge? We were making such a fuss just now, and he... What can he do? Does promoting him make him any less trash? Let me tell you, even if he becomes an upper-class citizen, he'll still be a level 11 piece of trash. We're all the same. That's right, just wait and see. Even if this kid becomes an upper-class citizen, he definitely won't make it. Hearing the surrounding chatter, Lin Mo remained silent. He previously didn't have the energy to deal with these criticisms, but now he completely ignores them. Whether it's opportunism or envy and jealousy, it's none of his business. He, Lin Mo, the only future super-strong individual in the world capable of significantly enhancing attributes and undergoing frenzied evolution, disdained arguing with petty people. In the future, when he is powerful enough, if there are still people who are ungrateful and speak ill of him behind his back, stirring up trouble, he only needs to whistle, and a powerful dinosaur army will naturally help him solve all his problems. Seeing that he remained silent, the madman waved his hand to quiet the scene, then said loudly. Lin Mo, not only are you exceptionally strong, but you are also incredibly loyal and righteous. You actually risked your life to come to the Elders' Council to beg for medicine for your master. I admire that courage. But unfortunately, we've run out of antidote reserves. Seeing Lin Mo's disappointed expression, the clan leader changed the subject. However, as far as I know, Green Shade Tribe has ample reserves and sells them to the public. Lin Mo, would you like to go over there to buy medicine? The tribe will cover the expenses. I do. Lin Mo agreed immediately without much hesitation. The clan chief reminded him. You'd better think this through. The roads are dangerous right now, especially since elite velociraptors have recently been spotted along the way, and some caravans have already met their demise. Lin Mo nodded solemnly. Chieftain, I've thought it through. This is my duty, and I cannot shirk it. Of course he knew about the elite velociraptors. It was an extremely ferocious and domineering super velociraptor. It is an extremely rare mutant among velociraptors, possessing speed, strength, and vitality far exceeding that of its ordinary counterparts. Once it targets you, your chances of survival are slim. Those who narrowly escaped described the thing as a teleporting flame, so fast that there was no time to react, they couldn't even see its silhouette, let alone fight back. For this very reason, no caravan dares to venture into the territory of the riverside tribes now. As a result, vital supplies such as antidotes became scarce, which was an objective factor contributing to the unfair distribution within the Elder Council. Everyone knows that none of the nearby tribes have flying mounts, and they can only travel by land, which is naturally extremely risky. Lin Mo's willingness to take on the important task of buying medicine, despite his own self-interest, is enough to prove his courage. Some of the former superiors couldn't help but nod slowly, their previously contemptuous gazes now turning into admiration. I never knew Lin Mo had such a sense of responsibility and courage. If he can really bring the antidote back, that would be wonderful. We can get through the pandemic safely. Yes, the antidote's potency is limited, the more in reserve, the better. If he really manages to do that, I'd support him not only becoming an upper-class citizen, but even joining the elite guard. The common people were in an uproar. That kid's got some nerve, daring to go out like that. Humph, don't let his righteous indignation fool you. Once he runs into an elite velociraptor, he won't even have time to cry. That kid's just putting on a show of righteousness. He's only doing it so his master can get the medicine. It has a very strong sour taste. Chapter 7. Amidst the murmurs and discussions, the clan chief delivered the final verdict. Good lad, you've got guts. If you can bring the medicine back, not only will you and your apprentice each get a bottle, but I'll also promote you to the elite guard. At this point, he glanced at the captain of the guard who lay dead to the side. Then you'll be the team leader. As soon as he finished speaking, the audience erupted in gasps of surprise. The guardsmen, in particular, looked at each other in disbelief. The elite guard is composed of the tribe's most elite warriors, all of whom are selected from the upper classes. And that captain was the strongest warrior at level 20. Lin Mo not only rose rapidly in rank, but soared to the heavens. Amidst the crowd, a torrent of emotions surged forth: envy, jealousy, and hatred, along with a nascent sense of respect. Most of the residents had no objection to this decision. They all understood that the so-called difference in social status was not an insurmountable chasm. That's nothing but nonsense used to fool the common people, so that they could feel at ease being trampled underfoot and used as slaves. If someone is exceptionally outstanding among the common people, they can still be promoted. However, such people are extremely rare, which makes them all the more precious and gives the common people hope. The last commoner to be promoted was 3 years ago. After witnessing the entire incident, everyone felt the same way. The sight of the giant eagle rider filled them with lingering fear. Wouldn't it be safer to have someone like Lin Mo, who is responsible, courageous, and capable, as captain? Besides, the clan leader has spoken, so they dare not disobey, otherwise, they might be the next to be devoured by a dragon. They didn't believe they had the strength or luck to fight a velociraptor barehanded like Lin Mo. The upper-class people knew the power of authority, especially when the clan chief's strength could easily crush others. They understood even more clearly what it meant to those who obey me prosper. However, among the common people, a serious sense of imbalance arose. Their minds aren't that quick. Lin Mo had only joined the tribe 2 months ago and hadn't even made any contributions, yet he had risen so quickly, more fortunate than those of them who had toiled for years. This made them very unhappy. In terms of contributions, any one of them is greater than Lin Mo. Moreover, everyone unanimously believes that the fight against the velociraptor was aided by the gunman, and it was undoubtedly cheating. However, being of low status, no one dared to raise any questions in front of the clan leader. The clan chief whispered something to a trusted confidant, who immediately left. Not long after, they returned carrying a wooden box. The chieftain took the wooden box, opened it, grabbed a handful of things from inside, and showed them to everyone. Under the sunlight, they were actually sparkling pearls. There were at least 10 of them in that handful. Wow, so many pearls! Everyone stared in disbelief. There is no unified currency in this world, ordinary people often barter. However, pearls are mostly used as currency between tribes. Pearls are already relatively rare and precious, and their light weight and small size make them easy to store and carry. Moreover, pearls are an important raw material for advanced technology, and their value is far more than that of ordinary currency. Therefore, pearls were the perfect medium of exchange. In terms of purchasing power, 1 pearl is enough for a family of 3 to eat and drink for a month. Looking at the heavy wooden box, some of the commoners even revealed a greedy look in their eyes. The clan chief laughed. There are 300 pearls in total. At the current price of 2 pearls per bottle for the antidote, that's enough to buy 150 bottles. As long as you bring the medicine back, I guarantee everyone that the common people will also receive some. Of course, 3 people will share 1 bottle. The potency will be sufficient. Many commoners cheered upon hearing this. Although the epidemic is not particularly serious at present and the number of infected people is not too large, it is still a potential hidden danger, and no one can guarantee that it will not suddenly break out. To receive the antidote and preventative measures would be ideal. The clan chief put the pearl back in his hand, then took out his pen and paper, quickly wrote a note, and put it into the wooden box. After finishing everything, he closed the lid, had his trusted aide seal the opening with wax, and then affixed a seal. He jumped off the bull dragon, strode up to Lin Mo, and personally handed him the wooden box. There's also a letter from me here, pleading with the clan chief to consider our past relationship and not sell it at the original price. Lin Mo, whether the tribe can safely weather this epidemic depends on you. There's no time to lose, you should set off as soon as possible. Lin Mo solemnly accepted the wooden box, feeling its heavy weight, knowing that he bore a great responsibility. He never expected things to turn out this way, from asking for medicine for his master to buying medicine for the tribe. But in any case, with the strong support of the clan chief, he felt more confident. He was also very grateful to the clan chief. Lin Mo turned and left. The clan leader watched his retreating figure, the smile on his face gradually fading. After the onlookers dispersed, the elder approached and cautiously asked, "Chieftain, are you really going to promote this lowly commoner? He's incredibly audacious and powerful, I'm afraid he'll be very difficult to control in the future." The clan chief rolled his eyes at him. "What do you know? I know what I'm doing, you don't need to worry about this. But you yourself, how many times do I have to remind you? Don't call yourself a lowly commoner in public. As a member of the upper class, you should behave with more decorum." "Yes, but..." "Furthermore, if you wanted to kill him, why launch a sneak attack during the dragon devouring? That would break the rules, and the rules are the foundation of everything. Do you understand? Without the constraints of the rules, the common people will take it for granted that social classes can be transcended, and then how can we govern? The elder suddenly realized. Yes, 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 chieftain, your vision is far-sighted, I am far from being able to match it. The clan chief snorted and said indifferently. You're still young, inheriting your father's position. In terms of intellect and vision, you're far inferior to him. All right, clean this place up. Also, increase security, I don't want any more giant eagle riders sneaking in. Yes. By the way, clan leader, are you really going to use 300 pearls to buy medicine? We still have 30 bottles in our reserves. Giving Lin Mo 2 bottles is more than enough. The elder began to nag with concern. Besides, saving his master is one thing, but you're taking so many pearls to save other lowly people? It's not worth it. That's a whopping 300 pearls. That's FG painful. The clan chief, however, revealed a strange smile, raised his eyebrows, and said coldly. Really? Not worth it? But I think it's totally worth it, hee hee. Having said that, he turned and left. Staring at the clan leader's retreating figure, the elder stood frozen in place, completely bewildered. Chapter 8. Lower Class District. The overcrowded housing complex reeked of rotting garbage, and children ran and played barefoot on the puddles of dirty water, completely unconcerned. In a slightly wider alley, there stood a 3-room thatched house, which was Lin Mo's residence. He lived with his master and fellow disciples in these 3 thatched huts. Thatched houses represent the lowest level of housing in terms of architectural technology. In terms of both insulation and defense, it is far inferior to a wooden house. Even so, it's still more comfortable than sleeping outdoors. Compared to most commoners, it was quite remarkable that they had 3 complete thatched huts, which was mainly due to their master's position. Lin Mo carried the wooden box back. Along the way, many commoners pointed and whispered about him, but some also smiled and showed him goodwill. But most people are too busy making a living to have time to meddle in other people's business. Lin Mo ignored everyone else and only focused on getting home. Before long, we arrived at the thatched hut. Pushing open the door, we were greeted by the aroma of herbs. On the soft, thick straw mat, Master Hudson, looking haggard, sat half-sitting, coughing and trembling as he drank water from a bowl. Lin Mo hurriedly went up to help him, took the bowl and fed him water. Hudson took a few sips, let out a long sigh, glanced at him, and looked at him with concern. Xiao Mo, are you all right? I heard you caused a scene at the Elders' Council, and even the clan chief had to get involved. Lin Mo smiled and deliberately spoke in a relaxed tone. Master, don't worry, it's all taken care of. The chieftain even allocated funds so I can go to the Green Shade tribe to buy medicine as soon as possible. Real? Hudson stared at him in disbelief. Of course it's true. Look. Pearls, a full 300. As he spoke, he picked up the wooden box and shook it a few times. A rattling sound of pearls colliding came from inside, indicating that there were quite a few pearls inside. Hudson, however, was not happy, instead, he was even more worried. The chieftain sent you to buy medicine? And you don't have any companions? This won't do. There are elite velociraptors lurking nearby. If you're discovered, you'll just be going to your death. Lin Mo first helped him lie down, then covered him with a blanket and comforted him. Master, don't worry about me, I'll be fine. By the way, where's my senior brother? Why isn't he here taking care of you? Lin Mo glanced into the inner room, but there was no one there. The fire in the stove outside had also gone out. He wondered where his senior brother had gone. He said he went out to find out about you, but he hasn't come back yet, cough cough. Humph, probably out gallivanting again. Lin Mo said unhappily. This senior brother is really unreliable. He always hangs out with a bunch of shady friends, and he's even a bit of a sleazy guy. His master scolded him many times for this, but he could never change. Lin Mo felt that if it weren't for the fact that his father and master were close friends and had entrusted him with important matters on their deathbeds, his senior brother would have been kicked out long ago. Before leaving, he repeatedly instructed the master not to leave and to take good care of him. The master readily agreed, but then disappeared without a trace. Seeing his master shake his head slightly, Lin Mo could only sigh and say nothing more. Hudson held his hand and repeatedly urged him. Please be careful on your journey. Whether we can buy medicine or not is secondary. If we encounter an elite velociraptor, run away immediately. Don't be reckless. Elite velociraptors are beyond the capabilities of our current technology. Their only weakness is their poor swimming ability. If one targets you, jump in immediately. Lin Mo nodded repeatedly, making sure he remembered all of these words. Although my master's skill level isn't particularly high, as a veteran hunter, he has a wealth of practical experience. This is something Lin Mo can't compare to just by relying on his gaming experience. So he asked further. Master, there are 3 paths to the Green Shade tribe. Which path should I take? Although he had his own plans, he still wanted to hear his master's advice, since this was his first time traveling alone. Hudson pondered for a moment, then slowly spoke. Route 1 is the shortest and flattest route, but it's where the caravan was attacked by the elite dragon last time, so it's obviously not very safe. Route 2 is far from the location where elite dragons appear, but it's also too far, doubling the journey, which introduces too many variables. Route 3 is a bit rugged, but few people travel it, and there are no humans to hunt, so the elite dragon might not go there. Besides, it runs along the river, so you can jump into the water to escape in case of danger. The journey isn't too far either. I think you should take Route 3. Lin Mo hummed in agreement. This was basically the same as his own thoughts. Just then, he suddenly heard a slight creaking sound coming from outside the door. It looks like someone is outside. Lin Mo immediately went to the door, pushed it open forcefully, and stood in front of a young man a few years older than him. The other person was startled by the sudden opening of the door. They quickly took 2 steps back, their eyes meeting. Lin Mo frowned and said, Senior brother, why are you only coming back now? Where have you been? This man was none other than his senior apprentice, Locke. Seeing his questioning, Locke looked displeased and said loudly, What could I be doing? Of course, I went to buy medicine for Master. Humph, don't think you're the only one who cares about Master, I've been busy too. As she spoke, she opened the bag she was carrying to show him. Inside were some fresh white berries. Lin Mo knew that ginkgo nuts could have a certain detoxifying effect if taken, but their main purpose was to treat dizziness. Its effect on the epidemic was negligible. But since Locke didn't go off to fool around, that's better than anything else. Lin Mo also realized that he had spoken a bit too harshly, so he said softly. All right, senior brother, you should go inside and rest. This kind of fruit isn't very helpful for Master's condition. Taking good care of him is the most important thing. She paused, then reminded him. There are elite dragons roaming around now, it's not safe. Don't go out to pick fruit recklessly anymore. Seeing that his tone softened, Locke decided to stop while he was ahead. Don't worry about that. I didn't go outside. I just walked around the wall, and some fruit had grown inside, so I picked some. By the way, when I came back, I heard that you've gained the chieftain's favor? And you're even going to buy medicine for the tribe. Seeing Lin Mo nod, Locke immediately became excited. This is a golden opportunity. Junior brother, you'll be a high-ranking citizen from now on, and we can all enjoy the good life with you. Lin Mo smiled too, he knew this senior brother was vain and pleasure-seeking. But now that he was being valued, he certainly wouldn't forget him and his master. Senior brother, take good care of master. I'll be back with the medicine. If the clan leader really gives me an important position, I'll make sure you never have to eat anything less than gruel. Locke rubbed his hands together excitedly, as if good days were just around the corner. They immediately busied themselves grilling meat, filling water containers, and preparing Lin Mo's luggage. Lin Mo put on his master's leather armor, tied the wooden box tightly to his body and secured it to his chest, then wrapped it with 2 more layers of animal hide to ensure it would never be lost. Chapter 9. Lin Mo then shouldered his wooden bow and carried 20 arrows. He was quite confident in his archery skills. Although he couldn't hit a target from 100 paces away, he could certainly hit the bullseye within 20 paces. The only downside is that his melee damage bonus doesn't stack with his bow and arrow, otherwise, he could easily one-shot a low-level velociraptor. He also carried a meteor lock, a weapon used to entangle the opponent's legs. It was effective against small to medium-sized dinosaurs, but he wasn't sure if it could handle elite velociraptors. It's better than nothing, anyway. They also took 2 wooden spears and a stone axe. He was already level 12, and he still had 1 attribute point left to allocate. Lin Mo doesn't plan to use it for the time being, because right now only melee attribute can be increased, and this attribute has already been greatly improved. At present, further improvements would not be of much significance. What can be killed with 1 punch, can be instantly killed with a little more force. If you can't kill it with 1 punch, adding more won't help. Especially when facing wild beasts, he prioritizes using arrows to kill them from a distance, trying to avoid close combat. After all, the wild is not a tribe, you won't just be faced with a velociraptor and have to fight it head-on. Real wild velociraptors always attack in groups, often by surprise. It's impossible to guard against. If he spots an enemy, he won't even take the initiative to attack, he'll hide if he can, prioritizing safety and returning as quickly as possible. While his senior brother was still grilling the meat, Lin Mo sat on a stool and began to ponder. Although I can now access the attribute panel and add points to level up, I don't know how to unlock other attributes. Could it be related to my level? The higher my level, the more attributes I automatically unlock. He has no clue now, he's just guessing wildly. Perhaps. If we could unlock speed and health attributes sooner, that would be fantastic. With his life force increased, it would be almost impossible for an ordinary dinosaur to kill him. It could even indirectly increase his life recovery speed. And once the speed increases, it becomes even more insane. By then, even elite velociraptors will be left far behind. These are his understandings of the game's mechanics. In his view, everything becomes clearer and more understandable once it's digitized. But for other indigenous people, the concept of games simply doesn't exist. They were born into this world, and everything, whether reasonable or unreasonable, has been subtly accepted as their due. In terms of the depth of understanding of everything, he is far less thorough than Lin Mo. Just then, Locke's voice suddenly came from outside. "Hey, what are you doing? Seeing my junior brother?" "Humph, my junior brother is the future captain entrusted with an important mission by the clan leader. Do you think you can just see him whenever you want?" Lin Mo sensed that someone was looking for trouble and, worried that his senior brother might get into trouble, he came out. Locke was seen stopping a group of people, all of whom were commoners. "Senior brother, what's wrong? These people insist on seeing you." Before he could finish speaking, someone pushed Locke aside and bowed obsequiously to Lin Mo, saying, "Hey, Mr. Lin Mo, I'm the owner of a general store in the lower district. Congratulations on your promotion. I hope you'll continue to support my shop in the future. This is just a small token of my appreciation." As they spoke, they handed over a package, which mostly contained valuables. Immediately, someone pushed past him and said respectfully, "Mr. Lin, after your promotion, you must have moved to the upper city area, right? Are you considering selling this house?" I can help you get a good price. Little Lin, don't you recognize me? I'm your half-brother. Get out of the way, Mr. Lin. My daughter is strong and healthy, with powerful arms she can lift a Dilophosaurus. She only eats 10 pieces of roasted meat per meal, she's easy to feed. If you don't mind. The noisy commotion from the crowd was giving him a headache, and he thought helplessly. Good heavens, is this some kind of fanjin passing the imperial examination? Everyone's trying to get close, trying to claim kinship. It's true what they say, the poor are unknown in the marketplace, while the rich have distant relatives even in the mountains. He said to Locke. I don't know any of these people. Throw them all out, or I'll call the guards to come and remove them. He went inside and closed the door, finally finding some peace and quiet. Locke immediately began to chase people away, and after a while, the crowd dispersed. Soon, Locke walked in carrying a leather sack, and laughed. Junior brother, I've really learned something today. Before, nobody ever tried to get close to us like that. People looked at us with disdain. If it weren't for Master, they would have kicked us 2 weaklings out long ago. But if you ask me, putting everything else aside, why don't you consider the son-in-law position? Lin Mo rolled her eyes at him. 10 yuan for a meal of barbecue? Are you trying to feed us like pigs? You can go if you want. Locke smiled lecherously, seemingly genuinely intending to do so. Lin Mo patted him on the back. Is everything ready? Oh, everything's ready. Locke immediately opened the bag to show him. This bag contains 8 pieces of fresh roasted meat, and I've also prepared some purple berries for you as a snack. I also brought 2 bags of spring water that I specially collected, that should be enough for your food and drink on the road. Lin Mo smelled the rich aroma of roasted meat. He had always admired his senior's roasting skills, so he thanked him and accepted the meat. If we take Route 3 and everything goes smoothly, we shouldn't reach our destination until noon tomorrow at the earliest. This amount of dry food should be enough. After saying goodbye to the two, Lin Mo went to the dragon stable, which was specially used to store mounts, and took out his own mount, the sub-dragon. That was a level 5 sub-dragon, which was incredibly weak. This gentle, herbivorous dinosaur was not strong to begin with. However, it has good load-bearing capacity and excellent endurance, making it particularly suitable for long-distance treks. It is generally used by caravans. He tamed the dragon himself last month under his master's guidance. Level 5 is its maximum level. After that taming experience, he realized that the methods for taming dinosaurs in this world were actually quite similar to those in the game, with no significant changes. The usual method is to first stun the dinosaur, then feed it its favorite food, and wait for it to be tamed. Once he understood this, his confidence increased greatly. I used to be a dragon trainer when I played video games. Given the right conditions, he could absolutely build his own powerful dinosaur army. However, saving Master is the priority right now. Hey, Camelfoot, this mission is really important, don't you dare let us down. Lin Mo patted his mount's head and then took out a purple fruit to feed it. This dragon had very large toes, like a camel's hooves, so Lin Mo called it Camelfoot. The mount happily ate its mouth full of food, then nuzzled him with its head in satisfaction before Lin Mo finally climbed on. He didn't go through the main gate, but left the tribe through the side gate. This was to avoid attracting attention. After all, he was carrying a large sum of money, and he couldn't be too careful. The fewer people who saw his route, the safer he would be. On his first long journey, Lin Mo calmed his nervous yet excited heart, took a deep breath, and urged his mount to plunge into the bottomless forest. Chapter 10. The camel's feet carried him onward. The complexity and danger of the primeval jungle far exceed the imagination of ordinary people. The ground is covered with tangled roots, and the trees overhead provide a dense canopy of shade. The air is filled with the fresh scent of earth and vegetation, mixed with an unknown, putrid odor. Without a mount, it would be almost impossible to move forward smoothly. Lin Mo was extremely cautious. At the slightest disturbance, he would immediately stop his mount, hide in the shadows to observe the situation, and only proceed when he was sure it was safe. After all, elite dragons have been spotted, so it's always good to be cautious. He only breathed a slight sigh of relief when he entered Route 3 and approached the riverbank. Parasaurolophus can carry a person while swimming, although they swim slowly and might even swallow some water, but they are still stronger than elite velociraptors. If we get targeted, we can just jump into the river together, dragon and all, as long as we're careful not to get attacked by piranhas. Thinking about this, I can't help but sigh at the dangers of the world. Even this river, which could save lives in critical moments, harbors unpredictable dangers. There's about a 2-meter height difference between the riverbank and the water surface, so there's no need to worry about being attacked by piranhas. Lin Mo then tried to check the condition of his mount. He speculated that since he could open the attribute panel, the mount's attribute panel should also be able to be opened. Sure enough, with the thought, a familiar panel appeared before him. Currently ridden dinosaur, Parasaurolophus. Name, Camel's Foot. Level, 5. Available attribute points, 4. The following are the upgradable attributes. Life, 150. All other attributes are locked. Haha, it really does enhance the dinosaurs I've tamed. Looks like my guess was right. Lin Mo grinned from ear to ear, which meant that not only could he evolve, but his dinosaurs could also evolve. Of course, it's still the same for now, only one attribute can be improved, and all others are locked. Increasing the life of the secondary dragon is still worthwhile, hehe, although it's the same as my stats, we can only upgrade one attribute for now, but this attribute is relatively important, so it's not a waste. If the only thing that can increase a secondary dragon's attack power is attack, that would be ridiculous. Even with a high attack bonus, if its initial attack power is already low, the bonus won't make much of a difference. Even with a 10-fold increase in power, it could at best deal with small dinosaurs, it would have no chance against ferocious beasts like the Carnotaurus. I don't know what dangers we'll encounter on this long journey. The higher the hunchback's lifespan, the stronger its self-protection ability and the higher its safety. Yes, that's what we'll do. After a moment's consideration, I didn't hesitate to put all 4 attribute points into life. Ding! All attribute points have been allocated to the life attribute. Life, 1150. Wow, 4 points added 1000 health. Lin Mo Daxi. Normally, 1 point would add at most a few dozen lives. Of course, the extent of the improvement depends on factors such as the dinosaur's level and characteristics. Some can improve by hundreds of points with just 1 point, while others only improve by tens or even less. A mere level 5 weakling dragon would be lucky to gain 30 HP per hit, but now it's increasing HP by 250 for every 1 point. That's insane. 1150 HP is equivalent to the HP of a level 40 bull dragon. Even if the camel foot is attacked by 2 velociraptors at the same time, it can stand and take the hits without falling down for several minutes. A giant leap forward. Ding! The level cap for the secondary dragon has been unlocked, it can now be upgraded to level 75. Ding! Reaching level 10 grants access to a special skill. Hospital Threat Early Warning Capability. Once this ability is activated, the sub-dragon will sense all hostile creatures within a 50-meter radius and transmit their exact locations to its master via its consciousness. Please note, this ability cannot locate any friendly dinosaurs. Holy crap! This system notification gave Lin Mo goosebumps. He never imagined that dinosaurs could not only improve their attributes, but also evolve special abilities. The original game underwent several major version adjustments. The original sub-dragons didn't have this special ability at all, they were just blank slates and were therefore always considered trash. The secondary dragons of this world have never possessed this ability. In other words, Lin Mo's deputy dragon is unique. Not only this one, but every Paraceratherium he tames in the future can evolve the same ability. That's the most impressive part. Haha, it's like everyone else is playing an older version of the game, while I'm playing the latest version. What's even better is that others can't even upgrade to the new version. Lin Mo excitedly patted the deputy dragon's head. The value of this Parasaurolophus far exceeds our imagination. Its ability to detect all hostile creatures within a 50-meter radius and pinpoint their exact location is terrifying. I'm certain that if this sub-dragon were auctioned off, those major tribes would be willing to spend 1,000 pearls for it. However, he definitely won't sell it, at least not now. Once my strength grows, I can acquire more high-level dragons, and sell this smaller one to a friendly tribe. After all, this ability is ineffective against us. Even if they betray us, they can't do anything to me, hehe. What he needs to do now is to get the secondary dragon to level 10 as soon as possible and unlock its abilities. Unlocking early warning capabilities will be of great significance, especially now. Imagine, he could detect ferocious beasts hiding in the shadows from a great distance. Even elite velociraptors could be located by sensing their position, allowing him to prepare in advance and avoid falling into a trap. Let me think. According to the world's setting, there are two main ways for a secondary dragon to level up. First, killing other small dinosaurs. That's unrealistic. Parasaurolophus wasn't designed for fighting, it would have had a hard time even killing a dodo. Secondly, we need to gather resources. Since the journey is still long, I'll gather resources along the way as I go. Having made up his mind, Lin Mo had no choice but to send Deputy Dragon away from the riverbank and towards the dangerous jungle. There are hardly any resources to gather along the riverbank, but they are plentiful in the jungle. To upgrade, you have to take risks. As long as I stay on the edge of the jungle, I should be fine. He tried giving commands to the camel's feet to gather from a dense thicket of bushes. The hunchback lowered its head and arched its back forcefully. Splash! The shrubs shattered instantly, followed by a system message. Resource acquisition, 76 yellow fruits. Purple fruit *53. Black fruit *32. 68 red berries. Looking at the long list of information, Lin Mo immediately understood. Besides being able to evolve, like itself, certain hidden attributes of the camel-footed creature have also been greatly enhanced. Under normal circumstances, this level of sub-dragon has very low resource gathering efficiency. A clump of bushes requires at least a dozen or so ups and downs to break it apart, and the amount of fruit that can be gathered is pitifully small. But that's not the case now. Not only did you manage to clear out a clump of bushes in one go, but you also gained dozens of times more resources. In other words, my dinosaur gathering efficiency has also been enhanced. That's amazing. I wonder how many more abilities have been secretly enhanced. Lin Mo couldn't help but feel a surge of anticipation. Chapter 11. Gather resources, and level up to level 10 as soon as possible. The hunchback seemed to be affected by its master's mood. After receiving the command, it diligently arched the bushes, one clump at a time. When it reached the fifth clump, the hunchback leveled up. Lin Mo was now certain that his mount, like himself, also received a significant experience boost. Otherwise, under normal circumstances, to reach level 6, you would need to climb at least 100 shrubs. Immediately allocate this attribute to health. The camelfoot now possesses 1400 health, comparable to the health of a mid to high level velociraptor. Looking at the dense bushes in the forest, Lin Mo estimated that he could reach level 10 in at most half an hour. So they sent their mounts a little deeper to gather resources. This is more efficient. Once you reach level 10 and unlock the skill, everything will be completely different. This risk is absolutely worth taking. If we encounter an elite dragon, we can just desperately jump into the river. Anyway, we have 1400 health points now. Even if we get bitten a few times, escaping this section of the road is no problem at all. After that, I'll dedicate my entire life to any upgrade. Half an hour later, Camelfoot suddenly raised its head and roared, and Lin Mo then sensed a subtle change in its body. Camel's Foot, level 10. Gained new skill, hostile creature warning ability. The hunchback's lifespan has reached an astonishing 2400. That's equivalent to the health points of a low-level Carnotaurus. Lin Mo couldn't wait to have Camelfoot use its early warning capabilities. The deputy dragon raised its head and emitted an invisible white light wave in all directions. The light wave swept across, marking all hostile creatures within a radius of 100 meters. The image was transmitted to his mind, and he immediately saw several red dots of secret manuals hovering about 20 meters away. Those glowing spots look like giant ants, nothing to worry about. This capability is so convenient, it's great value. Lin Mo no longer needed to make a special trip to the riverbank, he could simply proceed along the edge of the jungle, using early warning systems to scout ahead as he went. At the same time, he didn't forget to let the secondary dragon continue to push through the grass to upgrade. 10 minutes passed like this, when suddenly, a dinosaur's scream echoed from afar. Several pterosaurs were startled and took to the sky in a flurry. Lin Mo immediately became alert. It might be a carnivorous dinosaur nearby, not necessarily an elite one. Judging from the sound, it should be more than a mile away. Let's hurry. Immediately urged the camel to speed up, and just as I was deep in thought, the camel's foot suddenly trembled violently. Fall forward. Lin Mo reacted quickly, jumping off his mount before falling to the ground. He rolled on the spot, stood up, and drew his spear. Turning his head, his expression immediately changed drastically. The hunchback's foreleg was caught tightly in an animal trap. Bear trap. Enemy nearby. The fact that they have this means they were prepared in advance. Even more dangerously, the surrounding bushes were dense, and the other party could be hiding among them. Even if they got close, he wouldn't be able to see them. Camel's feet, warning. Although the camel-legged creature fell to the ground, it still struggled to raise its head and emitted a beam of light. 10 red cursors immediately appeared in front of Lin Mo's eyes. These cursors are rapidly approaching from different directions. He's surrounded. Before the cursor disappeared, Lin Mo planted his spear in the ground, took out his wooden bow, nocked an arrow, aimed at the nearest target, and fired. Ah! A scream rang out, the enemy had been hit by an arrow. The red marker disappeared instantly. One arrow killed the opponent instantly. With the red marker indicating the direction, his arrow pierced straight through the opponent's throat. Lin Mo was overjoyed. Even if he couldn't see the person, he could still pinpoint the target's location using the red marker and ensure his arrows never missed. Another arrow was fired immediately, and another red marker disappeared. As soon as the red marker disappeared, he ordered Camelfoot to continue issuing warnings without interruption. With this living radar indicating the enemy's presence, 4 people had already fallen when they got within 20 meters of him. The other party has now realized the seriousness of the problem. Someone actually couldn't help but shout. How did this kid see us? Never mind that, fire the arrows. Kill him first, the valuables aren't going anywhere. Hearing the shouts, Lin Mo became even more certain that the other party must be bandits. He just hadn't expected that even in a region teeming with elite dragons, bandits would dare to set up an ambush. How greedy must they be to do that? Gurgle gurgle gurgle. Several wooden arrows flew over. Lin Mo quickly lay down, and after the rain of arrows subsided, he immediately returned fire in a certain direction, killing another person as expected. In just 2 short minutes, the opposing team lost half its men. This is the power after evolution. If the Paraceratherium hadn't evolved early warning abilities, Lin Mo would now either have to desperately run away or surrender. Both sides exchanged fire again, and the other side lost another player. Lin Mo felt more at ease. If it's just a matter of arrows, he's not afraid of his opponent at all. The area was surrounded by dense bushes, so he couldn't see anyone else, and conversely, no one could see him. This is basic common sense. As long as the secondary dragon continues to issue warnings, he can see the opponent's location, giving him an absolute advantage and making him invincible. The enemy was clearly terrified of being shot at, and they all hid behind large trees. One of them peeked out, barely showing his head, unaware that Lin Mo was precisely locking onto him via GPS. Oh! The man was struck in the forehead by an arrow and collapsed, weakened. Everyone else panicked completely. No, we can't take him down alone. Call everyone else over, let's charge together. Then came a long whistle. Camel's feet, warning. With the command, a wave of light swept across the area, and Lin Mo was astonished to see 5 more red markers appear. This time, he could see with his naked eye that the other side were all riding secondary dragons, their upper bodies exposed from the bushes. Everyone was wearing a mask. Charge! Let's all go together and take him down. At the shouts, those who had been hiding began to fire arrows. They couldn't see the target, but as long as they threatened Lin Mo with arrows, they could prevent him from attacking without restraint. Sure enough, this tactic worked. Lin Mo had to duck to dodge the arrows, and in that brief moment, 2 riders rushed up to him. The 2 men simultaneously thrust their wooden spears at him. Lin Mo reacted incredibly quickly, dropping his bow and arrows, grabbing a wooden spear in each hand, letting out a roar, and pulling hard. He actually managed to pull both riders down. One of them felt his immense strength, immediately let go, rolled to the side, and then took out a long spear from his back. The other person was stubborn and wouldn't let go of the wooden spear, which gave Lin Mo an opportunity. The latter swung another wooden spear and thrust it into the man's chest, piercing his heart and killing him instantly. We have to kill them quickly, otherwise it'll be troublesome if the others rush in. He brandished his spear and charged at the other man. This turned into close quarters combat. This is precisely Lin Mo's strongest ability. With a single move, their spears clashed, and the opponent was struck by his immense force, causing his wooden spear to shatter instantly. The area between my thumb and forefinger is especially painful. Just as Lin Mo was about to stab him to death, the remaining riders had already rushed in front of him. He cursed under his breath and quickly dodged. The riders gave him no chance to catch his breath, charging at him with all their might, while simultaneously attacking him with their spears. Lin Mo was immediately overwhelmed. Chapter 12. Thump! Thump! No matter how he tried to dodge, the 2 sub-dragons still managed to crash into him from different directions. Just as he was being knocked off balance, 2 wooden spears pierced his back and chest. If he weren't wearing leather armor, this blow would almost have pierced his heart. Ah! Lin Mo was filled with shock and anger. It hurts like hell. But, it doesn't seem fatal. If I'm not mistaken, my other attributes must have been secretly boosted. I remember there's a damage reduction attribute in the game that can only be set in the system before the game starts and cannot be increased during gameplay. It seems my damage reduction attribute has definitely been greatly improved. Lin Mo secretly rejoiced, otherwise, he would definitely be seriously injured by now. Finding that his wound was shallow and hadn't even bled much, yet it began to heal rapidly, he became even more convinced of this. Not only is damage reduction increased, but health regeneration speed is also greatly improved. This is typically reflected in the speed of wound healing. Just as he was struck by another spear in the arm, the wound on his chest was almost completely healed. This healing speed is practically comparable to Wolverine's. However, only he himself knows this at the moment. To outsiders, his clothes were still stained with blood, but they didn't know that the wounds beneath those blood-stained clothes had almost completely healed. Otherwise, the other party would definitely be so frightened that they would scream monster. Lin Mo immediately came up with a plan. Since he was tough and resilient, he might as well trade his life for it. Seeing the two riders use the same trick again, attacking him from both sides, he was no longer afraid. The other side's strength is nothing special, as robbers, they are a bunch of rabble with weak abilities. As long as he can't launch a sneak attack, in a head-on fight, his opponent is no match for him. Once Lin Mo understood the vast difference in strength between the two sides, he felt confident. He only gave his opponent the opportunity to stab him by trying to dodge, but if he didn't dodge and just attacked with all his might, even if his opponent managed to stab him, he would be killed in return. You can't kill me easily, but I can kill you with a single blow. Let's see who has thicker skin and who's tougher. As the secondary dragon collided with him, Lin Mo felt excruciating pain in his bones, but strangely, it was only pain, without any internal injuries. The rider was clearly unaware of his intentions and was still gloating. Just keep ramming him. I refuse to believe he can take it. The impact force of the parasitic dinosaur isn't strong, but even a human body can't withstand many blows from it. He's been stabbed several times already, he'll bleed to death. Those who aren't riding dragons, don't just stand around, shoot with your bows. Lin Mo sneered inwardly, then suddenly exerted his strength and punched the head of the deputy section chief in front of him. Smack! The poor dinosaur didn't even have time to utter a sound before its brains were splattered open, and it died on the spot. The rider immediately fell to the ground. Lin Mo didn't give him a chance to react, rushed up and kicked him in the neck, ending his life. Seeing this, the rider behind him roared and thrust his wooden spear into his neck. But Lin Mo didn't give him that chance, raising his right arm to block the attack. Crack! The wooden spear struck his arm with such force that it snapped in two. Lin Mo was already used to this level of pain, and didn't even flinch. All the robbers were terrified. One punch and Vice Chief Dragon is dead. He used his arm as a shield and even broke a wooden spear. Unless one is wearing iron armor, no one can do this with thin leather armor. Even more unbelievable is that he then used his injured right hand to punch another sub-dragon, sending its brains flying. The rider was pinned down by the corpse of his mount and struggled to get up. Ignoring his pleas for mercy, Lin Mo punched him to death. Suddenly, an arrow struck his left shoulder. Lin Mo was only slightly taken aback, then reached out and pulled the arrow out, throwing it on the ground. He picked up a wooden spear, aimed it at the attacker, and hurled it with all his might, piercing the man through the skin. Seeing this, the remaining robbers panicked. Brother, this kid's acting strangely. How could someone be like that? They're practically a monster. If the archery skills, reflexes, and strength we saw before were still within the acceptable range for ordinary people. So everything that has been discovered now is simply too unbelievable. With a single-armed spear, even while injured, he could kill a deputy dragon with a single punch. Even more outrageous is that he had already been stabbed several times, and the bleeding should have left him extremely weak. But this kid in front of me not only didn't fall, but fought even harder, showing no signs of weakness whatsoever. The bandit leader stared at the corpses strewn across the ground and said in a trembling voice. This kid is actually that strong? It seems he really did kill a velociraptor with his bare hands. Retreat, retreat, retreat quickly. The remaining bandits fled in disarray. They quickly disappeared into the bushes, attempting to use the cover to escape. Lin Mo snorted coldly, picked up his fallen bow and arrow, and shouted. Run! There's no reason to let a tiger return to the mountain. Camel's foot, warning! As the light wave swept across the land, the locations of the remaining bandits were clearly marked. Lin Mo didn't hesitate at all, every arrow hit its mark. Soon, only the bandit leader, riding his chariot dragon, was left to escape. This person didn't need any warning, he was riding a dragon, which made him taller than the bushes, so he could be seen from afar. Lin Mo deliberately saved him for last. An arrow was aimed directly at his mount. The sub-dragon cried out in alarm, its forelegs raised high, and the creature lost its grip and fell to the ground with a thud. The mount instinctively fled after being attacked. Before the leader could even get up, Lin Mo had already stepped on his chest. Staring at the wooden spear pointed at his face, the leader trembled and begged for mercy. "Spare me, spare my life, brother!" Lin Mo shouted. "Shut up! I'm asking you, who exactly are you? We're just a bunch of wandering bandits who happened to bump into you passing by, so, ouch!" Lin Mo pierced his shoulder with a spear, and blood gushed out immediately. He didn't have any damage reduction buffs, and he screamed in pain. "If you yell again, I'll gouge your eyes out." Hearing the threat, the leader had no choice but to endure the pain. "No, I wouldn't dare. Do you know why I stabbed you? Because you lied." Lin Mo's tone was cold and stern. "Do you think I'm a 3-year-old? That easily fooled? I just killed a velociraptor with my bare hands during Dragon's Bite this morning. How could my name have already reached your ears? Besides, you just shouted retreat, not get out of here. You don't even know slang, and you're trying to play the bandit for me." He then used the wooden spear as a stick and slapped him hard across the face, saying in a fierce tone, "If you don't tell the truth, I'll skin you alive, slice by slice." The leader, having witnessed his methods before, knew that this seemingly gentle young man was capable of anything, and pleaded with a mournful face. "Big brother, have mercy. I'll tell the truth. We are all from the same tribe." Chapter 13. Lin Mo frowned. "What tribe?" We are all from the Riverbank tribe, our compatriots, our compatriots." The leader hurriedly removed his mask, revealing a rough, dark-skinned face of a man in his 30s. He raised his left wrist, revealing a diamond-shaped chip. Sure enough, a small identity information box immediately appeared above. This person's name was Usse, and his faction was the Riverbank tribe. Lin Mo was first shocked, then flew into a rage. "UBD! Since we're all from the same Riverbank tribe, how could you turn on your own people? This is outrageous. Tell me the whole truth, or I'll make you wish you were dead." The leader, seeing his angry glare, trembled with fear and hastily confessed. It turned out that after news spread that Lin Mo had killed a velociraptor that morning and obtained 300 pearls to buy medicine, it immediately attracted the attention of this group. They were all commoners. They usually idled away their time and often hung out together. Upon hearing that Lin Mo had obtained 300 pearls, he immediately harbored malicious intentions. As for the rumors of killing a velociraptor with bare hands, I've only heard about it, I didn't actually see it. Besides, even if they witnessed it firsthand, the immense temptation of those 300 pearls would make it worth the risk. Of course, although they didn't believe in Lin Mo's abilities, they still made ample preparations. They set a trap halfway there, knocking down his mount and preventing him from escaping quickly. Then a hail of arrows will kill him. No matter how strong you are in hand-to-hand combat, if I don't get close to you, you can't do anything to me. But who would have thought that Lin Mo's archery skills were still superb? What shocked them even more was that, in such dense bushes, they wondered if this kid had some kind of cheat code or X-ray vision, because he could hit every single arrow. This forced them to bring in the riders who were on guard nearby, resulting in a chaotic melee that ended in total annihilation. No wonder Lin Mo felt these bandits were uncoordinated and lacked fighting ability, they were simply a bunch of lowly commoners. Lin Mo asked again. "Nobody knew I was taking Route 3. I was very careful when I came, making sure no one was following me." "How did you know? Did you even lay an ambush beforehand?" Usse stammered. "Yes, it was your senior brother Locke who said it." "What?" Lin Mo was furious. Could Locke have been involved too? Seeing his fury, Usse was so frightened that he hurriedly explained. "Brother, please calm down. Here's what happened: we knew you were setting off, but we didn't know which route to take. So, we took advantage of Locke coming out to buy meat to try and get information out of him. That kid was so smug and careless, he just let it slip, and that's how we found out. Seeing that Lin Mo didn't speak, usse swallowed and continued. Your senior brother and I knew each other before, so we had some kind of relationship. Friendship a bunch of scoundrels. Lin Mo cursed, but seeing the other party's timid and submissive appearance, he felt a little better. If his senior brother is also such a wicked person, then his worldview will truly collapse. Although Locke was lazy and greedy, he wasn't a bad person at heart, and he often took care of me when I first arrived. Even so, I couldn't help but curse inwardly. Holy crap, senior, what a mess you've made. It seems you overheard me discussing the route with my master. If my strength hadn't increased so much, I probably would have died here for no reason today. Ugh, my senior colleague is such a terrible teammate. If he cannot truly repent and reform, he will be unable to shoulder important responsibilities in the future, and may even harm others. Lin Mo became even more cautious of this unreliable senior brother. As for this guy in front of us. Looking at usse, who kept kowtowing and begging, Lin Mo glanced around and fell into deep thought. After a moment, it returned to the camel's foot, first opening the clamp to free it. Then he took out a hemp rope from his backpack, tied usse's hands together, and led him behind his back. Seeing that he hadn't killed him, but unsure what to do with him, usse cautiously probed. Big brother, where are you taking me? Lin Mo revealed a meaningful smile. Don't ask. Asking will only make you feel worse. Upon hearing this, usse was immediately terrified. These ambiguous words were the most frightening. Why is he trying to arrest me? Are you trying to torture me? Or should I be sent back to my tribe for trial? Surely they wouldn't sell me to another tribe as a slave, would they? That would be too miserable, they'd rather kill me. Lin Mo completely ignored his feelings and checked his luggage first, finding nothing missing. They searched the corpses again, putting everything useful into their mounts' pouches. A total of 15 crystal pieces were found. Crystal wafers are another form of common currency. Compared to pearls, this currency had much lower purchasing power, but it was easier to obtain and carry. Fragments that typically fall off during crystal processing are then used as currency. Like pearls, crystals are also important raw materials for technology. Even fragments, if collected in large quantities, can be reprocessed to manufacture technological products. Therefore, it naturally has its value and is very suitable as a low-denomination token for purchasing daily necessities. Pearls generally circulate among different tribes, while crystal pieces are used more within tribes. The master, who holds the position of team leader, only receives a monthly salary of 30 crystal chips. In terms of purchasing power, 100 crystal pieces are equivalent to 1 pearl. Looking at the crystal pieces, Lin Mo turned around and slapped usse across the face. Ah! Usse was inexplicably beaten and looked completely bewildered. Lin Mo cursed. So many of you, and you only have this little money. It's clear you're all a bunch of lazy, good-for-nothing scoundrels. You deserve a beating. Usse looked miserable and dared not resist in the slightest. He never dreamed that his attempt to rob someone would not only fail to steal any money, but also result in him getting arrested and having everything stolen from him. Not only that, they also looked down on them for not having enough money. Lin Mo pulled all the undamaged leather and cloth armor off the corpse and draped them all over the deputy dragon. I tried it, but there were too many things, which affected the speed. So they took out a portion, packed it into a bundle, and had usse carry it. The latter was immediately filled with unbearable bitterness, feeling that he could do all the hard work of his life along the way. She felt both hatred and fear towards Lin Mo, but she could only put on a smiling face and dared not utter a single word of dissent. Then I thought. So he wanted me to be a laborer, carrying his supplies. At least I won't die for now. Thinking about it this way made me feel a little more at ease. Lin Mo inventoried all the usable weapons. There were a total of 4 wooden spears and 30 arrows. Bring one of each of the following: wooden bows, stone axes, etc., preferably in the best condition. They also discovered that someone had brought 2 bottles of anesthetic. I couldn't help but feel a little scared. Fortunately, these people did not have advanced technology and could not make tranquilizer arrows. Otherwise, if I were hit by a tranquilizer arrow, that would be extremely bad. Even with his strong resistance, he couldn't effectively resist the dizzying effects of the tranquilizer arrow. It can be said that unless the enemy's attack power is so high that it can kill him instantly, the only way to counter him at this stage is with a large number of tranquilizer arrows. Chapter 14. The other party's mounts were either dead or had escaped, so they couldn't be taken to exchange for money. He didn't have time to collect meat from the horse's corpse anyway, since it wasn't worth much money. He ignored the rest of the less valuable miscellaneous items. After all, with such a commotion, no one could guarantee that other wild beasts hadn't been alerted. Although Camelfoot has been issuing warnings continuously, it's best to set off as soon as possible. After everything was set up, he mounted the camel again and moved forward. With a tug on the rope, Ahe was dragged along like a dog, carrying a heavy load and suffering terribly. By the time he set off, all the injuries he had sustained had been completely healed. With this astonishing regenerative ability, he can recover quickly unless he is fatally injured in a short period of time. Gurgle. My stomach suddenly growled. Touching her belly, she couldn't help but feel a little puzzled. I ate barbecue before I left, how come I'm hungry again so soon? Oh, right. I overlooked one point. According to the world's setting, recovering from injury requires consuming food. The more you restore, the more you consume. Since I recover very quickly, I definitely consume more food. Thinking about it this way, I felt relieved. He immediately took out the grilled meat and started eating it in big bites. To be honest, even though Locke is a terrible teammate, his barbecue skills are actually pretty good. The outer layer is crispy, while the inside is smooth and juicy. With one bite, you crunch through the outer layer and are filled with the rich, fatty flavor, leaving a lingering and unforgettable taste. Thinking about it, that senior apprentice is really something. He clearly has a unique skill in grilling meat, and someone offered him a job as a kitchen helper at a restaurant, just grilling meat, for 25 slices a month, almost as much as our master earns. But he's just being lazy and doesn't want to go. Just then, I heard a thud behind me. Turning around, I saw Ahe stumble and fall hard, his face bruised and swollen. You didn't die from the fall? Get up and keep going. Lin Mo coldly shouted, and at the same time pulled hard on the rope, forcing Ahe to get up in a sorry state. He had absolutely no sympathy for this kind of scum. Big brother, I'm hungry too, and I'm really thirsty, could you? Ahe stared at the half-eaten piece of roasted meat in his hand, smelling the aroma, and swallowed hard. Lin Mo rolled her eyes at him, then took out a small cloth bag and tossed it to him. Eat it yourself. Ahe was overjoyed, but when he opened it with difficulty, he was immediately disappointed. There was no roasted meat inside, just some dried-up yellow fruit. The edible fruits in this world are divided into 4 types according to their sweetness, from highest to lowest: purple fruits, blue fruits, red fruits, and yellow fruits. What Lin Mo gave him was a little bit left over from when he upgraded the secondary dragon arch grass. Of course, he picked out the best purple fruits for the camel-footed one to eat. To avoid adding extra weight, the rest were simply discarded. There were some leftovers, but I was too lazy to deal with them, so I just dumped them all on Ahe. Seeing that he was eating the worst yellow fruit, which wasn't even fresh, Ahe had no choice but to grab a handful and stuff them into his mouth. He was also injured earlier, but he is slowly recovering thanks to the normal regenerative abilities that everyone has. The rate at which food is consumed also increases. However, if he doesn't receive timely replenishment, his recovery will stop, and if it's delayed for too long, it may even cause wound infection. However, Lin Mo didn't care at all. He grabbed Ahe, but not just to make him carry things, he had another purpose. Ahe was indignant, but his eyes held a hint of malicious anticipation, as if he were waiting for something to happen. He had been closely watching Lin Mo's actions from the very beginning. He noticed that the kid hadn't bandaged his wounds since the fight. He remembered clearly that the other person had at least 4 wounds. The one on his chest that left the deepest impression on him was the one pierced right in front of his heart. Logically speaking, 2 hours have passed, even the strongest person would have bled to death by now. Even if he has strong regenerative abilities and his wounds heal quickly, such a severe injury simply cannot heal quickly without a hemostatic bandage. He felt that the kid was probably too confident, believing he could heal himself. So he quietly followed along, hoping for the moment when Lin Mo would collapse from exhaustion. Once he's dead, won't all those pearls belong to him? Even better is, with all his accomplices dead, all 300 pearls can go into his pocket. Once he received this huge sum of money, he wouldn't return to the Riverbank tribe, he'd go straight to the Redwood tribe, a place everyone longed for, practically paradise among the tribes. Stay close! Lin Mo shouted, interrupting his sweet dream. Ahe looked up, but couldn't see the slightest discomfort on the other person's face. They had no choice but to obediently quicken their pace. Another half-hour passed, and Lin Mo not only did not become weak, but was also full of energy. He even walked to a waterfall and became interested, arrogantly reciting a few lines of ghostly writing, about something flowing straight down and something urinating from the sky. He couldn't understand it either. What kind of person could urinate for 9 days straight? How abnormal must their kidney function be? Ahe didn't see Lin Mo collapse until they rested by the campfire that night. He finally gave up hope, there was no way he could outlive the kid. There was even a bad feeling that even if I died, this thing would still be alive and kicking. Although Lin Mo didn't know what this guy was thinking, he guessed that the other party was definitely up to something. He pretended not to know. He whistled. The whistle signals the mount to enter an aggressive stance. If any hostile creatures appear in the vicinity, or if Ahe attempts to ambush it, Camelfoot will immediately launch an attack while simultaneously alerting itself. In fact, he could now command dinosaurs entirely with his mind. Unless the command is particularly complex, it can be executed completely, making it more convenient and efficient than using a whistle. The whistle was blown to deter Ahe. The latter indeed understood the meaning of the whistle, knowing that Lin Mo was wary of him, and that if he didn't behave, he would be in deep trouble. I had no choice but to give up and lie down to sleep. Lin Mo leaned against a rock, sat cross-legged with his eyes closed, and, exhausted from the day, quickly fell asleep. The night passed peacefully, which even Lin Mo found somewhat unbelievable. Nights in the jungle are rarely peaceful. Even with a campfire, it's the same. As it turns out, most dinosaurs were not afraid of these small fires and still dared to attack people around them. Even the smell of food cooking around a campfire is more likely to attract them. Lin Mo had gone on several trips with his master before. Although they hadn't gone far, he had learned a lot of survival skills. Let him know that even though the world's setting comes from a game, there are still many real-world tips and tricks, and you can't rely solely on game experience to get by. All these experiences instilled in Lin Mo a humble and eager-to-learn character. Chapter 15. First, he fed the camel with freshly gathered purple berries, then threw some to Ahe to fill his stomach. He ate 2 pieces of roasted meat himself and continued on his way. It was still half a day's journey to Green Shade Tribe, and Lin Mo was already quite fortunate not to have encountered any elite dragons yet. He hoped this good luck would continue. The jungle gradually came to an end. Further ahead lay the confluence of rivers, which was also the settlement of the Green Shade Tribe. This is a tribe nestled in a grove of trees. Initially, they only needed shelter, but gradually they developed into a sizable tribe. The original grove could no longer accommodate so many houses. The expanded Green Shade tribe's camp area was even larger than that of the Riverbank tribe. Lin Mo gazed into the distance and could even vaguely see the Green Shade tribe's watchtower rising above the trees. Although it looks close, the journey still takes 2 hours, mainly because the terrain ahead is rugged and a detour is necessary. Nevertheless, he breathed a long sigh of relief. Now that they were in the territory of the Green Shade tribe, they were much safer. Just as we were about to move forward, we suddenly realized that usse had stopped moving again. What are you standing there for? Let's go. Big brother, I have a question for you. Spit it out. What are you going to do with me? As the finish line approached, usse grew increasingly frightened and had no choice but to ask a question. But all he got in return was Lin Mo's cold laugh and extremely disdainful look. He certainly knew how to deal with this guy, but he deliberately kept it a secret, leaving the other party guessing, which made them feel the most fear. Brother, I feel so uncertain and scared. Nonsense, if I wasn't afraid, I wouldn't have done it. Lin Mo yanked the rope hard, and usse stumbled and fell down in a sorry state. You've done something heinous, so this is what you deserve. Go. Usse was utterly desperate, so he simply plopped down on the ground. I'm going to die anyway, so you might as well just kill me right here. Wah! The kid actually started crying. He had worked himself to the bone all day, yet he was still hungry, and the wound on his arm hadn't fully healed. His condition was truly miserable. I'd rather die than be sold into slavery again. Slaves were even lower than commoners, they were often prisoners of war from tribal conflicts or captured bandits. They had no freedom whatsoever and were exploited to death. Just as Lin Mo was about to deal with him, he suddenly heard a soft groan coming from not far away. He quickly turned his head and saw a clump of bushes about 10 steps away. The sound seemed to be coming from there. Camel's feet, warning! The light wave swept across, but Lin Mo didn't see any danger markers. Since there's no danger, perhaps someone needs help. Just in case, Lin Mo still took out the wooden spear and had usse walk in front, so that if it was some kind of trap, he would have a human shield. Usse was on the verge of tears. If he didn't leave, usse would stab him in the back with his spear. He had no choice but to grit his teeth and go. Upon parting the bushes, Lin Mo was stunned by what he saw. A stranger lay in the grass, around 50 years old, covered in blood, his right leg missing from the knee down. I only did a very simple hemostasis procedure. Lin Mo recognized his clothing at a glance. He belonged to a caravan from another tribe. Lin Mo had naturally seen this caravan that had visited the Riverbank tribe several times. They rushed over to check on him. Hey, are you all right? After being shaken a few times, the man slightly opened his eyes, saw that it was a living person, and suddenly grabbed his arm. He said in an almost inaudible voice. Help, help. Lin Mo thought it meant he wanted to help save him, and immediately said. Don't worry, I'll take you to the Green Shade tribe right away. Come, let me help you up. But the man shook his head vigorously and tried to say. Please take this to my son Henry. But the note he was holding in his right hand was probably his suicide note. Lin Mo had just taken it when the person used the last of their strength to push him away. Quick, run, quick! Just as the man breathed his last, Lin Mo suddenly felt a chill. His keen senses allowed him to react even without the warning of Hunchback. He quickly lowered his body and warily looked around. At the same time, use awareness to warn of camel feet. The light wave had barely swept across the earth when he saw something in horror. A red cursor is hurtling towards this direction at an astonishing speed. That speed was like lightning. He covered the 50-meter distance in just a few seconds. Splash! The bushes parted rapidly as they approached, and a velociraptor, its body glowing with a fiery red light, leaped out. He roared at them with his mouth agape, his eyes bloodshot, staring at the two like a demon. Elite Dragon! Usse was so frightened that he went limp, his legs trembling. Lin Mo couldn't help but shudder. Although he had gained tremendous power, far surpassing ordinary people, any ordinary velociraptor that dared to approach him could be killed with a single punch. But when facing the elite velociraptors, all he felt was a chill. Almost immediately upon meeting, he knew very well. With my current strength, I'm no match for him. Run! Without any hesitation, Lin Mo pierced Usse's right leg with his spear, then turned and ran. Usse screamed and fell to the ground, his eyes filled with terror. He stared at Lin Mo's retreating figure, only now realizing the true purpose of sparing his life. Bait! No, no, help me! Despite Usse's desperate pleas, Lin Mo rushed towards Camel's Foot without looking back, mounted it, and urged his mount to flee at top speed. He wouldn't even bother with that kind of scum. The only reason we've kept him around is to use him as a laborer or, in case of danger, to use him as cannon fodder. This is the best fate for scumbags. The cries for help quickly faded away. Lin Mo dared not stop for a moment and ran wildly, constantly warning his hunchback to keep alert. Although Camelfoot only consumes a small amount of stamina each time he uses his warning ability. However, due to its excessive use during this period, the hunchback eventually became somewhat overwhelmed, and the intervals between warnings became longer and longer. Fortunately, there were no dangerous creatures along the way. That's true. With elite dinosaurs here, there are generally no other carnivorous dinosaurs. Elite dragons are at the top of the food chain. Even a powerful Tyrannosaurus rex, if its level isn't high enough, would be no match for this elite velociraptor. Any herbivorous dinosaur that comes into view of a human will be slaughtered on sight. If any carnivorous dinosaur dares to steal its food or territory, it will bite without hesitation until it dies. This is also what makes elite dragons so terrifying. They attack creatures indiscriminately. Therefore, places where elite dragons live are often desolate and lifeless. Lin Mo ran for 20 minutes before finally stopping, his legs hunched, panting heavily. Its stamina was completely exhausted, it could no longer run and needed to rest. Seeing how exhausted the camel looked, Lin Mo felt sorry for it and didn't force it. Instead, he whistled to make it stop and rest. Chapter 16. Lin Mo felt relatively safe, as he hadn't noticed being followed by any elite dragons along the way and was quite close to the Green Shade tribe. He immediately ran to the river, scooped up water to wash his face, and then drank it in large gulps. The rivers and even the seawater in this world are clean drinking water sources, free from any pollution. He only realized how exhausted he was after relaxing. He had only just met the elite Long Guang, yet he already felt immense pressure. Elite dragons are truly terrifying. This is just a low-level elite velociraptor. Imagine how terrifying it would be if elite Carnotaurus, or even elite Tyrannosaurus rex, appeared in the future. Lin Mo simply couldn't imagine it. Fortunately, there were no traces of Tyrannosaurus rex around these tribes, and Carnotaurus were also very rare. Therefore, the chance of it mutating into an elite dragon is almost zero. Even this elite velociraptor has only appeared in the vicinity for the first time in many years. However, he kept it in his heart. Looking at the camel drinking water nearby, Lin Mo felt an unusually strong desire. I must become stronger. Not only do I need to evolve, but I also need to build a powerful dinosaur army. Otherwise, if we encounter a strong enemy, not only will I be in danger, but my friends and family will also be doomed. His strength lies in his ability to plan ahead. They immediately made up their minds to secure the medicine, and then secretly began to build up their strength and develop their own dinosaur army. We should rest for a while, but it would be safer to enter the tribe as soon as possible. Just as we were about to set off, we suddenly heard a squeaking sound. Looking in the direction of the sound, they saw a piece of broken wood floating downstream in the river not far away, with a small monkey lying on it. A monkey. Lin Mo was a little surprised. This little monkey is a sapienza, a gentle but very cautious small animal. It is quite intelligent, and once tamed, it can help with simple tasks, and even pick locks and open doors. However,
वीडियोस बनाने हैं, फिल्मोरा है ना?